If you're like me and you want to create a body of work in street photography, you need to have at least some level of discipline. And I've found that there are all sorts of reasons that I end up telling myself, or I have told myself in the past, that has basically been an excuse for not going out and doing street photography. And so in this video, I thought I would talk about, some of the reasons that I've given myself, and, some things that I personally need to work through. Some I have worked through, but there's always room for improvement. I've been dealing with a health issue recently that has made it so I can't walk. And so for the past couple months, I've been on crutches. I can't do street photography, or like I have this big barrier to doing it. And so it has made me think about, all of the reasons and roadblocks and excuses that I've had in the past that, like, I've, told myself, and like I just want to go through those and, get them out of the way so that I can go out and do street photography without feeling, anxious about it. So one of the reasons that I think a lot of us have is that we'll put it off until we have better gear. I'm kind of like over this at this point. Like, I think I was worse about this when I first started out in street photography. When you are like bombarded with all of these products on social media and YouTube and wherever else, it makes you feel like you need the latest and greatest thing. You need the newest camera, the newest lenses, and it can be, kind of harmful and get in your way of doing street photography. But the thing is when you think about like all of the great street photographers who have created like amazing work, like a lot of it was over 50 years ago, or however long, and they were using like completely antiquated technology compared to what we have today. You just don't need the latest and greatest and best camera system out on the market in order to do street photography. And there are a lot of like both new, but particularly like on the used market, there are a lot of affordable options, and like it just shouldn't get in your way. So I'm definitely not like anti-technology or anti-new camera at all, but I just think that you should use what you have and get the most out of it. I understand the feeling of like lusting after new gear, but it's really just not necessary to produce street photography work, which is one of the great things about street photography, I think, is that it's because of the minimal gear that you need. It's very accessible. Another excuse I've told myself is that I'll do it more when I live in a new place, like a new place that's more exciting for street photography, like when I move to a big city. And I understand like the feeling that anyone has who's like kind of disappointed in where they live for street photography, because street photography, you need streets to do it on. So if you live in a small town, or a small to mid-sized city, the opportunities to take photos of people like in a city environment are much lower than, places like New York City or other big cities. But the thing is that it's not necessary to photograph in a big city And there are definitely some upsides to photographing in smaller cities. So, like, for one, less people have photographed it. Like, you stand out right there. And I think you just need to basically be a little more creative with like how you do things and how you set up shots, and be a little more patient. Yeah, also be open to photographing like cityscapes and urban landscapes. That helps as well. But yeah, when you think about photographers like William Eggleston, who just, you know, lived in like a very like sprawling, smaller or mid-sized city, with not a lot of people to photograph, like he still ended up creating like an amazing body of work. So the photos are out there. So the last one I'll talk about is a little more personal to me, but I'm sure other photographers have felt this pressure before. And that is that I've felt like financial pressure to not do street photography. So over the last years, like with, like inflation and the rising cost of living and everything, like I have definitely like told myself, because of this issue, I've told myself, oh, I'll do street photography later, like when I'm in a better financial position. Things are never going to be perfect, like financially or otherwise. So I think you need, I'm speaking for myself here, I need to put these things aside and still dedicate time to doing street photography. Some of the work that I've done is important, like, working overtime or working a second job I've had to do. And that was like for survival. I had to pay the bills. So I can't like knock myself too much for it, but still I could have been better about setting aside time for doing street photography. And yeah, just making time for it. Now that I've had like a health issue that has like, been a real actual hindrance of me doing street photography, I feel like moving forward, I'm going to be like better about, really setting aside time to like reach my goals and do what I want to do. In street photography and with like any art form that you're learning, like any artist deals with this. But I think one thing that's going to, separate the great artists from everyone else is that, yeah, you make some sacrifices to create the art that you want to. There's just no way around it. And sometimes, making sacrifices is good. Like, plenty of us, myself included, have bad habits that keep us from doing what we want to do in life. So, like, I have a bad habit of like doom scrolling through social media. That time would be way better spent, doing street photography or like almost anything else, like reading or like getting better at playing my guitar or whatever. When I say in this context, like sacrificing, like I still have, time that I waste. Like, and I think everybody does if you're being honest. And basically, I, moving forward, want to be like more intentional with the use of my time. You only get one shot, well, at least as far as I know, you only get one shot of living on this, planet Earth. And so like, just, I want to, use it effectively. So while I've had some real hurdles in my way of like doing street photography and some of the other things that I want to do in life, it's still like no excuse for not, being more intentional with my time to do street photography. And who knows, like maybe if I had like put more time and effort into doing street photography and then like promoting it, like maybe that would have opened up some doors to like do street photography, or probably more likely photography, like on a professional level, like do documentary photography or do events or whatever, types of photography that I would be interested in doing. So for me, ultimately, it basically comes down to like needing to keep in the back of my mind that nothing is ever going to be perfect. And I need to deal with like the circumstances at hand and just like push forward and, go do street photography, go create my body of work. So I'm gonna go do that. Well, not just yet because I'm still on crutches, but let me know if these things resonate with you. Have these types of things like held you back from doing street photography? Like I'm curious to know. So let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.